Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about my last week in games. As always, we'll start with EVE Online, and for me EVE Online has mostly been just doing the agency. Basically doing the dailies in EVE Online. It's something that doesn't necessarily fit very well with a sandbox game, but I think that there is room for that, and it's maybe a tool that CCP can use to try and direct player activity into certain aspects of the game that are maybe undervalued a little bit or something like that. But for that to happen, they do need to increase the rewards, because the rewards of the agency are basically not worth it. If you're a more veteran player, you can definitely spend your time much more efficiently in other activities. Still, for me, I do like exploration, and so I'm seeing it as a little bit of a challenge to do as much of the agency as possible. At first, only focusing on 4 quests, because doing a combat signature in a tech tree ship or a battle cruiser is extremely time consuming. It takes a lot of time to find something suitable, and then those sites tend to take a long time as well, so I was skipping those. But in the last few days, CCP has actually changed that quest to become kill a number of pirates with a battle cruiser or with a tech tree ship. So that means that you can quickly use it to rat a couple of things in nullsec. That's gonna help you as well with the bounties, for instance. Or now, what apparently a lot of people are doing is you can just roam around highsec, look for some anomalies, and get the kills there. Because the first evening when the change hit, there were just no anomalies. I had to go many jumps in order to find them in battle cruisers and in the cruiser. But eventually, of course, you find something like a hideaway that has more than enough rats for you to do, and as a result it does mean that I can now complete the agency for all 6 quests every day. The hardest thing is basically to find a good combat signature, and I'm still sticking with my very first idea. It seems to be working out the best, because I'm using the confessor. It's pretty fast. I get from system to system and I can check all the signatures pretty quickly, but I can also do most of the combat signatures that people tend to skip, stuff like drone sites, which a lot of people I think don't do because they're not pirate sites, but finishing one of those also counts towards the quest. And so that's basically how I've been running the agency. Next to that, blueprint copies, I'm still making some, but I have to be honest, that market has slowed down considerably. I think I'm selling less than half of what I was selling like a month ago. So I'm diversifying that a little bit. I'm making fewer copies, and I'm upgrading some of the blueprints that I have at the moment using material efficiency and time efficiency. Unfortunately, lots of people are doing the same thing in Dital because it's quite expensive to use material excuse me, material and time efficiency increases in Dital at the moment, but I'm sticking with doing that from my own installations right now. It's working out okay. I don't have such an amount of very expensive blueprints in there, so it's not like there's a lot of risk, but I need to diversify away from the blueprint copies because that business is slowing down considerably. And when it comes to looking forward to stuff in EVE Online, the August release is going to cut the captain's quarters, so that's bad news for EVE Talk. I'll have to switch that around a little bit. I think we can do it straight from the hangar, but someone else suggested that maybe I should record like a background video that looks pretty interesting. I'll have to see how I handle that, because combining that with the client showing up, I'm not exactly sure what the best way is going to be. But yeah, EVE Talk will of course continue, just with a different background after CCP cuts captain's quarters. Next up, we have some Heroes of the Storm. So I'm playing those basically on the daily quests. That's really all I'm interested in, gathering gold so I can buy other heroes and check those out. I actually have 10,000 gold, so I'm going to have to buy the next one. Just don't really know which one that I want to try next, but I feel like that's a pretty casual way of enjoying Heroes of the Storm. You're still making progress that way as well, and I'm actually enjoying the game quite a bit, especially playing with some of my favorite heroes like Lily, like Zagara. I have a lot of fun playing games with that, just in quick play, pretty casual. There's also not too much toxicity there, although when I play a lot of games on end and you lose a couple, you do get that stress that is typical for a MOBA, and I actually try to avoid that by focusing on the daily quests and playing basically as few games as possible to get those done. And in the first part of the week before launch of Albion, the next season of Diablo 3, I was actually doing quite a few games of Heroes of the Storm, trying to like finish a quest completely and maybe finish a second one that was close to being completed, which is 1 or 2 extra games. But now in the second part of the week, I've definitely slowed that down quite a bit, and I'm basically now just doing really the minimum amount of quests. And if you're a little bit lucky, like I was in the last 2 days, you can basically finish that with just 1 game. If you have stuff like play with a World of Warcraft hero, play with a specialist, and then win 3 games, those are 3 quests that you don't get every day, so you complete at least a little bit of that just playing a single game. And as a result, yeah, it just kept snowballing. 1 game, finish a quest, 1 game, finish a quest, and that's something that I really do enjoy. It allows you to pace yourself in the amount of time that you're spending in Heroes of the Storm. You can keep enjoying the game in a pretty casual way. You're making progress on the goals, and that's basically what I'm doing for Heroes of the Storm at the moment. And next up we've got Albion Online. So Albion launched last week, and it's a true sandbox MMO. I have to be honest, my first impressions there are that yes, this for the first time is like a true competition for EVE Online in the sandbox genre. And it's a game that is in a completely different setting, of course. It's like medieval fantasy. You've got more like knights and soldiers, swords, boards, staffs, magic, that sort of stuff. But everything else about the game is truly sandbox, and that is something that I really personally like. You've got the player-run economy, the harsh PvP, conquerable territories, very heavy focus on guilds, on mass PvP, and everything is player created. You've got this entire market dynamic with small markets in every city, in every map, and things like that. So from that perspective, I think that for the first time we can really talk about a game that is in competition with EVE Online in the sandbox niche. And I personally think that that's very good news, because more competition, I think, is gonna be a real incentive for both games to come up with more innovation when it comes to the sandbox niche. And that is something that personally I'm starting to feel like it's sorely needed. EVE Online has been the only true sandbox for such a long time that I really do welcome competition there. Now on the playing the game itself front, I've only played it for like a couple of games, so a couple of days so far, and that's been for like 6, 7, maybe around 8 hours or something like that. And I have to be honest on that front as well. I overplayed it a little bit in the first few days, and it's a massive grind. So you do have something in Albion Online that I didn't expect, that EVE Online, in my opinion, does better for new players. You've got a massive grind to get to higher tier stuff, but you have to get to higher tier stuff in order to be able to go out into more dangerous territories. That is something that, in my opinion, EVE Online already does a lot better. You can be useful in EVE Online for the first minute that you make your character. That is absolutely not the case in Albion Online. There is a massive grind to do before you actually are useful in more dangerous territories. And I feel personally like for me that's a big problem, because I have two thoughts that keep creeping up. First of all, if I'm spending time in Albion Online, then I'm not spending time in EVE Online. And if I had to choose at the moment for me, then I would rather spend more time in EVE getting ready for the expansion and for all my plans there. So I have much fewer plans in Albion Online. I just wanted to check the game out, and I don't feel like doing massive grinds in Albion when I could spend that time in EVE Online. So that is one thing. And another one is that I basically overplayed a little bit. In like the first 2 days I spent 6 hours, did a massive grind up to tier 3, and that is basically, you know, I didn't get a good feeling about that. I felt like I had to put in a lot of effort just to unlock the game, basically, just to be able to be a part of the game. And then I burned out on that a little bit, and with the launch of the new season of Diablo, well, I didn't get to play as much Albion as I was actually planning to do. So I'm gonna give it a fair shake. I'm going to do my best to play more Albion Online, and I'm personally really happy to see the game do so well, because it is competition for EVE for the first time, and I do look forward to seeing how all of that is going to develop, and I'm really curious to see what's gonna happen to the sandbox niche as both games now will be competing in that. But of course there is this final game that threw a little bit of a wrench in all of my Albion plans, and that is Diablo 3. So Season 11 came out with the Necromancer, which I bought. You know, it couldn't be seen as being quite expensive, $15, 15 euros for a single class, and that's it. But I've already spent so much time in Diablo 3 that it's completely worth it for me. They've already earned those $15, and playing the Necromancer now, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a very cool class. I personally do love pet classes, and this one has that as a very viable option. And yeah, it's got interesting powers and all of that good stuff. And so going through another season now with the Necromancer, I'm absolutely enjoying it, and I've been enjoying that more than playing Albion or even spending a lot of time in EVE Online right now. So that's basically been what's consumed my second half of the week. I got a character to level 70, so a Necromancer obviously, and yeah, I actually look forward to trying to complete this season, earn the full set, and then yeah, see maybe if I can get a couple of sets, couple of interesting builds going for the Necromancer. But it's quite a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying it once again. So I do really like Diablo 3, and I'm gonna keep playing all of those seasons. Maybe a quick note on that as well. Early August there should be the expansion for Path of Exile as well. Again, more time that I'm going to spend in a dungeon grinder rather than one of the sandbox games, but that's also part of the things that I enjoy, and so I'm definitely going to continue to do that. On the other hand, one thing to note of course is that that has a very limited lifespan for me. I'm not going to try and climb up leaderboards. I'm not going to try and get to those very high tier difficulty contents where basically you need to have the very best items and you need to do endless grinding in order to get those items. That's definitely not on the radar for me. For Diablo 3, if I had to guess, maybe 1-2 more weeks at the maximum, and then I'll be done with the Necromancer and I'll be done with Season 11 as well. After that, I'll normally be able to have some more time to spend into Albion to check that out, but at the moment, yeah, I'd rather spend some time in Diablo 3 than Albion, and so that's what I'm doing. And we'll see how all of that evolves, of course. As always, I'll keep you guys up to date. But for now, that's it for this Sunday recap. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.